Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, whatever time zone you guys are. Okay. So, today's session we are planning to cover uh, two important things. One, I will walk through that few important part of like flows and all. Okay, which will explain that how we create the SOW and uh, what are the critical part. Okay, that we should be aware about it. Okay, and also uh, some from the ironclad side. Okay. And then half of the session will be covered by Suhas, the Mule API. Okay, so Suhas and I was talking, so he said that he will be able to cover in 30 minutes. So he will cover 30 minutes that Mule part. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so I think most of us aware and guys who are not aware. So this SOW complete process start from the service opportunity. Okay, Henry has covered all those, but I will go more on the technical side. Okay. So the button visibility is based on the few flags. Okay. And that's how it will be visible. So that is based on we have set up on the page layout label. So one thing to keep in mind that the page which we set up, okay, there are two lightning record page. One we made as a dynamic. Okay. One was the older one. So for us, there will be a TS2 page. Okay. So whenever you are making change, make sure that you keep that thing in mind that our page, you are updating the right page. Sometime I seen that it accidentally got updated, the older one also for few things, but we caught that at the right time. Okay. So there will be some, there used to be button create SOW. I think this opportunity is not in the right state. Okay. Do we have Henry in the call? Oh yeah, that's fine. Else I can go into some other scenario. Okay, so you can see here the create SOW button is visible. So that button will be visible when opportunity is higher than I think 3 or 6. Okay, it should be either in this initial proposal and this one. Okay, and that will allow us to create the SOW. And there is no user edit screen. So this is how the flow work actually. Okay, so this is create SOW from the opportunity. Okay. So it will check if contract is exist. You can see here. Okay. If contract does not exist, if contract is already exist, we just show that message, okay, with the record link, and that's all. So this is pretty simple flow. Okay. But I will go one by one all the part. Okay. So we are fetching the opportunity information, record type, price book. Price book we are fetching because there is a hard validation due to a managed package which is installed in org62, so we were not able to skip this validation. Okay, and now we also have one more here, SUI. So that what record to be created, either SUI, when I say SUI, that means service work exception. Okay, and which one needs to be created, that is what it is decided over here. Okay, that if it is a opportunity amount is 0 and there is a service work exception record related to that opportunity, it is going to create the uh, service work exception, and which has a different template. Okay, and this is the part which you guys take care of it. There are some fields. Okay, create contract record. So if I open this one, okay, most of the field we are driving, okay, from the account which is related to opportunity, and there are some which we have done long discovery to find it out, okay, what we need to default. Okay, so initially everything will be created as a draft. Okay, and all other field these are required because this has the validation at the object level, so we cannot escape it. So we need to default it with some value which does not have impact on any other system. So keep in mind these were value reviewed by contract team and all. And if you are changing this one for anything, we need alignment with the contract team, those default value. Okay. And this status will never change because this status is completely drive, which is CLM contract. Okay. Contract type. This will drive that I am at the CLM contract, means legal contract. And there is a check, okay, for this opportunity, and which is to create, and then it will create that record. And we have a direct redirect component which will redirect it. So this is very simple, I would say, the process to create either SOW or contract. Is this clear until this, how this SOW contract and service work apps get created?
So Arvind, there are two elements,
Mhm.
right? Create contract record and create contract record for SWE, right? So
Yes.
we're having many things in common, right?
Mm,
The field values and all.
yes, they have. Yes, yes, they have many things in common. Yes, you can say that. Yep, they have.
Okay.
Means
So if there's any change in future, right, we have to do it in both the components, right?
correct. If we are changing the common values,
Common values. Yeah.
correct. If common value get changed, that will have change in both those,
Mm.
this one and this one. Maybe I think we can create one common one Gopal
Yeah.
subflow. Maybe
Upload. Correct.
that's what you are thinking. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe future purpose. Yeah, that's a good idea actually. Yeah, I think we should have also gone through that route. But yeah,
That's when we can
so
have a
if
tech one. Yeah. In the background.
correct, correct. Yes, we can put those all. Okay, and then the only value what I know that get changed is this one contract type,
Correct.
and most of remain same
Same.
for now.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so this is what you get created the SOW. Then what happened once SOW get created? You launch the form. Okay. So one thing I will quickly tell you here. Okay, I believe it. All the integration part. Okay. Suppose now you are developing something. Okay, and ironclad will just give us that this is the uh, workflow. Okay, after the workflow we has to do everything. Okay, they will not do all this setup part. This is integration related, so we has to set up this part. Okay, and this part start from here. Okay, like when we are doing this setup, okay, launch workflow setup, we can start from here, or launch workflow configuration. So I will just go which I started in now for PSA quickly. So anyone has any question? Okay. So if you look at this one, okay, you select this one from this section, and once you select, it will just bring up this screen for you. Okay. This screen will be bringing up. Okay. And then we select where we wanted to sync the document. Currently, we are doing it notes and attachment. Okay. And then this all those draft and signed copy will go back there, okay, to notes and attachment. And this is the part, okay, which will be coming from the PSA template. So if you look at this sign, okay, from contract to PSA English draft, that it indicates that we are getting reading the existing record, okay, from the org and going here. And here is the manage package link actually. This is very important section, guys. Okay, so keep in mind. So once you save this, okay, either with one field or two fields, something, these two link will get generated. Okay, this is the link which connect our org to this workflow. Okay, and there is little bit of learning for everyone. Okay, I would say how this was set up, group things, and which is So I will go into workflow launch group. So you can see here, I will just do view all. And you can see here we have four. Okay, I take an example currently for this one. Now suppose you are new, you are developing this part. Okay, you got this link. Okay, now you wanted to link this workflow with some uh, the template over here, or I would say that action. Okay, so what you do first? Okay, and cloud launch workflow configuration. First, you create launch workflow configuration. Okay, you just put this URL, whatever I have copied from there. Okay, this URL will be the same what you see over here. See this. So now this URL connecting us to this sandbox. Okay, and this will invoke a write template for you. Okay, and source object is what it drive or which source object you can trigger it. Okay, so these all are a managed packet configuration. Okay, but there is one more thing. Once you create this, we need to create the launch group configuration. So if I go back here, okay, so this is launch group option. So when you do this new, so you can see here, it will ask you launch workflow group, okay, and launch workflow this one. So you create one launch workflow group and tag this template, okay. Why we are doing this? If you have a single template for one LWC screen, and this is something critical, so let you can stop. Feel free to stop me if you don't understand, guys. Okay, but
Hey, Arvind, I didn't understand. So there is one launch workflow group,
mhm,
and then there's launch workflow configuration, right?
correct, correct. There are
So
two things. Mhm.
you
Go
created
ahead, go
launch
ahead.
workflow group, but I didn't see you creating launch workflow configuration.
Yes. So what first what we do, Gopal? We first create launch workflow configuration. Actually,
Okay, you
okay,
created that configuration. Okay.
correct. So I first created launch workflow configuration. Then I comes here. Okay, launch
Can you
workflow.
open one launch workflow
Okay, this
configuration?
one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you can see here. Okay. So if I edit this one. Okay. So this one I created and this one. So you can see here. One is group. So we go into group Gopal. We create this one. Okay.
Hmm.
And this is junction object to link. Okay. Two
Mhm.
things. Okay. So this one I
No, I mean,
create launch.
this option, professional services agreement, right?
Mhm,
This lookup record, right?
correct.
Can you show that record? Arvind?
Okay. Okay. So this is where we will have the our URL, which I was showing. This
Hmm. Okay. So how does ironclad know, right? Okay, we are on a
one.
particular
Yeah,
contract. So
correct. That's what now
what
you
is
see this.
flow? Yeah.
Aravind, one more question. So where do you getting that URL? You
From
just
here,
know.
Lakshmi. This one.
So is this a manual work or how we
Yeah,
are
it's
updating?
manual. It is manual, Lakshmi. There is no way for us to gate this automatically over there.
So every time if you want to create new record,
Yeah.
right? We
One
need to
time,
get.
first time configuration. Anytime we create a new workflow, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. One-time configuration. So if you look at this one, currently there is nothing is linked. So what
Mhm.
happened if you look at this one? So Gopal, here is the magic actually. Ironclad workflow launch group. Suppose in a single object, you wanted to set up multiple, okay, uh, that
Launch.
flows.
Okay.
Correct. So there is no way for us to go. If you have one, we can just put it into Iron Cloud configuration and it will work. But once you have multiple, okay. Then we has to go through this route. So if you look at this one, now I am seeing from that launch group, and I can select that because it has that between the junction object. So the first one is SOW. Okay, and now I go second. It's change order. I go to third. This is service work exception. Then we can save it. Hey, Lakshmi, go ahead.
Arvind, so how these values are getting, because when we're trying to backfill in our lower oxide, at that
Mhm.
time I haven't see these values like service work, work exception. So otherwise I haven't seen that. How we are populating these values on the here on the record page level. I can choose.
Yeah, so if you are not creating launch group and group options, okay,
Mm-hmm.
Lakshmi, then you may not see it. Let me create one for you just for
Mm-hmm.
texting purpose. Okay.
Sure, sure.
So suppose now you are starting with a new workflow. Okay. I give a name of, okay, demo test. Okay. Source contract URL. I keep it same. Okay. This part is done. Now we know that we have launch workflow configuration over here. Now I go back to here. And this part we need to do really very careful, Lakshmi. Okay, or maybe whoever is doing, everyone but should be aware about this piece, because if we miss something, it get overridden here and there. Okay, so yeah. Now we go to group option something. Okay, I need to go back to group. Okay, so I create new group here. So you can see here the group name, I will give the same name. Try to give the same name. Okay, demo test. Okay, source object
So Arvind, every time
contract.
you have to create a new launch group and launch configuration
Correct. If you have the new that
workflow.
workflow. Yes.
So this means in future also if we get any new requirement, that similar we need to follow these steps, Arvind.
Yes. If you are having altogether a new uh, template and new workflow, completely new. If
Mm-hmm.
existing, there is no change.
Mm-hmm.
But if it is new, then definitely these steps needs to be performed. So you can see here, I created launch group. Okay. Now launch group is, you can see here, I can select my whatever I created here, save it. Okay. So this now linked this flow with this launch group, and that launch group is shown for you into the UI to select. Gopal, does this make sense now?
Yeah, I mean, why? I'm just trying to think that why is it a junction object, Arvind? I mean, is it that a launch group can have multiple configuration
Correct.
or
Yes.
a configuration can be part of multiple launch group?
Correct. That's how they created it. Yes.
So then here, what is launch group, Arvind here? Sorry, I'm asking too many questions.
Here.
So, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not
So
able to.
if you look at this one launch group, so see
Mhm.
now demo test starts showing me, right?
Okay,
So now we have altogether different URL, suppose, right? I can select here demo. Now it will start invoking for me the demo launch workflow, whatever is linked to this.
okay.
So Arvind, since we the link is same, that's the reason it is popping up here, right?
Correct, because I created it for that contract object. That's why it is showing up here. Okay,
Mhm.
so we can set up it for from the contract. Is that what your question, Lata? Or?
Yeah, I mean now it came this available option for SOW, right? Because I was thinking maybe the link is same, right? The workflow launch link. We
No,
put the
no, it has nothing to do with the link. It
Mhm.
is purely depend on what you created in launch group actually.
Got it. And one more thing, I mean, like for SOW, we have different kind of types, right? But let's say for PSA or MSA, we'll have only one type of contract. So that time we do not need to go for this configuration, launch group and launch group options.
No, this is what Ironclad recommended. They said that it is more scalable, guys, so use this one.
Okay, okay. Thanks.
Is that clear for everyone? Because this is something very important thing, guys. So you may get confused sometime that how it is coming, from where it is coming, if suppose someone override the page. Okay. And one thing also, very important thing, whenever you do a deployment, okay, this configuration get override every time, and there is no way for us to deploy this because this configuration will have a different ID for each environment, so we cannot put that in repo also.
So you're saying whenever this flexi page is deployed, the configuration gets overridden? Is that the
Correct.
plan
Yes.
you're saying?
Yes, because we are not putting these. So you can see this, right? This is coming from an ID. Correct. This is an record in the Salesforce, okay,
Right.
which has the ID. So we cannot put that hard-coded ID Kiran into the those flexi page because else it will not find and it will start filling. So we remove those ID. So whenever deployment happen, okay, we has to manually select that if you are
Yeah,
updating or deploying that flexi page.
And just to take care of it, just adding it to your point, Arvind, that it should always be a post-deployment step in our all deployments. Just make sure that like we perform this step after every release.
Yes, yes. And Mayank, and I think I see Ignacio posted. Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, so this we add with each our deployment, Lakshmi. Okay, so here is that what we always add if we are deploying this flexi page.
Oh, got it.
so just one thing, is there any specific, like for example, we have three ironclad workflows here, right? So when we are selecting one for each workflow, is there any specific, sequence in which like the first one should be SOW, the second one should be something of that sort, or there are some visibility conditions also, right? Based on that, anything
Yeah,
that
there
we
is
modify.
visibility, Kiran. Yep. So because we need to have three for the contract, right? Okay, you can see here three for the contract. Okay. And what happens, why we are doing this? Okay, Gopal, so I will answer your question also. Why we are doing this? If we are not doing this way, then whenever user click on this workflow, he will get a drop down option, which we do not want. If we don't do via this
Mhm. Okay.
launch group.
Launch group. Okay, got it. Yeah.
You got it. So that was that I somehow forgot that point. So that is the main reason. And now we can handle the visibility based on this. Okay, what workflow we need to show.
So Arvind, is have you? Can we do it this way, right? Like when we pull this as a metadata, right? Would the ID of this launch group also come in that uh, flexi page?
Yes, that bring up the ID of this launch group actually.
Okay, so should we put the production one in that so that
If we put in production, then it will get fail in UAT and all every time. Gopal.
yeah,
If we
can just a manual step in lower environment, but production it would always point to production ID.
we did that, but what we felt, Gopal, that was more painful actually. Okay, that rather than having this just post deploy step means
Just
because
one
it
thing.
was
Okay,
good.
actually, so are we deploying the flexi page that frequently for every release or something?
No, that's what, Kiran. Yeah, we are not deploying. Yeah, so Flexi page is very much now stable. We rarely, initially we has to deploy multiple times, but it is now stable.
Okay. And this is a new flexi page we created as part of our
Yes,
project or
yes.
on the
It
contract
is
object.
purely the dynamic page. We have the new page layout for this, and this is our dynamic page here.
Okay, in that case, there is no problem that other teams can also deploy some flexi pages, right? This because contract
No.
object is not.
It is purely ours. No one will touch in this page. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So I
Sorry, I
believe
interrupted you
this.
and Gopal. Yeah,
Hey,
sorry.
no worry, man. I think those are important question. Everyone should clarify the question because uh, we are literally going with so much fast pace. Okay, so this is the chance, guys. You can ask question and get clarify. Yeah. Okay, so this part is clear with everyone how we do this mapping and everything. Okay, and this mapping is purely derived by the workbook which ironclad provides us. I can just quickly give you how this happens actually. Okay, they will share us with the workbook which is called let's take an example this one, but for uh, SOW I think we had different workbook. Okay, so how this workbook will look like, I think Lakshmi might have more idea. Lakshmi, you worked on the mapping or not?
No, Arvind.
Oh, okay, so yeah, that's more important than for you also. Okay, so you can see here these two columns is the main which we focus. And if record sync was not in picture for SOW, okay, we are not doing record sync, so this part may not much thing, but here these two column is very important. Launch source Salesforce workflow sync. Okay, this says which field, which object to, and here is that what will be the ironclad field name. Okay, or this is what. If I go here, okay. So when you are suppose they gave you this form, hey guys, we have completed our mapping. You go ahead and start updating it. Okay, and that's where you will read this. Okay, the contract number. If I come here, you can see here what I have done here. Okay, if I remove this one, let me set up contract number for you. So contract ID, I see here. Okay, there are two options. Choose constant value, choose from Salesforce. As this value drive from Salesforce and the relationship model works same way, guys. If suppose I show you, if I wanted to drive something from account, I go here, I reach to account because it is parent. Now I can reach to any field from the account and put the value. I am still on the contract. Keep in mind one thing, look at this object. This will tell you what is your source object from where you are driving. So if billing city you see directly here, it means it is directly coming from the contract. So this object, this field directly mapped. So contract has account ID as a field. In account, it reaches to that parent object, and from there we are bringing the first name. Okay, so this is how it happens. Okay, so if I go here, I can choose contract ID. You can see here it bring up the contract ID. Another important part here is this is running within the API user context. Okay, so don't get confused. If you are coming here, it is not running within your context. So whatever field you are seeing here, if you do not see, go to the ironclad API user, see if field has given the permission. If not, give the permission, refresh this, and try to see that field will be coming over here.
So Arvind, one quick question. So that ironclad API user, right? The permissions
Mhm.
on this object is enabled through their profile, or is there any permissions that we created for that?
No, it's a API user with profile. Take
Arvind, I
it.
have one question. So, for example, if you get if you get a requirement for creation of new field, right, on contract level, so
Mhm.
do we need to reach out to Ironclad to map for the API user, or how we need to convey this new field? This is there's a request for new field. How to we need to map to some other field. So, how we need to contact with Ironclad?
Okay, so see, they will give you only this part, Lakshmi. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they don't own our sandbox. They don't go anywhere, and they create only the template part. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
they create this property and they give this seat and they tell us map
Mm-hmm.
this one. So, but
Mm-hmm.
they will provide us the source and what is the field name. So you can see here. Okay, from contract number needs to map to contract ID.
Yeah, Arvind,
Mm-hmm.
but going forward, right, like for SOW, the contract ID or the agreement name would be created by us only, right? Let's say if there's a new field that we have to add, It has to be created by us only, right? There's no ironclad.
Yes, yes, that needs to be created by us. Yes, yeah, that's a good point, Gopal. So yes, going forward, but yes, that will be that format that okay, if suppose some field we are adding, then we will create field and we will map this way.
So we can create fields in ironclad instance also, right?
Yeah, yeah, there is a means creating an iron cloud. It's more easier, I would say. Okay. So you can see here, if I go here, create, okay, and see this here. Here
Okay.
field, I can create this field and I can just tell you map this field. If I create this field with any name, I can put this field on this form, okay, test or something, and then I can map in this configuration. Then what happens here when you launch this workflow, Kiran, then that field get auto populated. So, Lakshmi, is that clear? Your question also?
Yes, Arvind. So in case like if you want to create a new field, then we need to inform here, right? If for example some X we are going to create on contract object,
No, no.
right?
Now I think what Gopal was saying, right? That point, that informing on all part, Iron Cloud is no more in picture after
Mm-hmm.
my first week. They will not care what you are doing with SOW. So now we
Mm-hmm.
has to follow that. Okay.
Arvind, let's say we get a requirement from business,
Mhm.
right? I'm just trying to understand the process, right? We have a requirement from business that they want to create, add one more field to the launch form and map it to some field on the Salesforce side, right? So do we have to create a new version of this workbook for that? I mean,
Yes, I would say Gopal, that's a good idea because then we can have a track, okay, which section they want that field, okay, what is the label they want us to create, and then if there is any question or no question, and from where they want to populate. Yeah,
so is it some empty template, empty workbook we need to give it to business for them to fill, or it is something we have to fill?
I think business provide this one, Gopal. That's what I heard. They will still own this part. Okay, we will do the configuration, but they will still do this part. Okay, and because we stopped them, right? We said that you will do only this part. We will take care of this part, right?
Mhm.
So if suppose they ask us to create new field, suppose
Mhm.
demo test, okay, and I just save it. Okay, so I can see here that I put this demo test over here. You can see this, right?
So Arvind, like I mean, they are going to change the templates, right? And they can also add a field for scope language library, right? SLL.
Correct. They can do. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That part
So
only we allowed them. Yes.
yeah. So if they are doing that change, how they are going to convey that change? I mean, how would our MSPs or EOPs know, right? I mean, is this the workbook format that you're showing? Is this the format that they'll communicate? Okay, this is the change they're expecting to on the workflow.
I think they will put in Gopal here. What is my understanding? Okay. They will just make the changes. Okay. And they will hand over to us.
Okay, and then okay, they'll not give the workbook.
And I think this workbook is still they should be giving us, okay, that what we need to map with what, Gopal, because else how we will know, right? That what we need to map what. So that will be part of like our either in some format if we provide them, okay. But this field is still we can get confirmation on this maybe from product side, Gopal. But
Mhm.
what is my understanding, they still will provide us the integration details. Because this is not something we are driving, right? Means
Mhm.
integration part we handle, okay, field creation part, but from where it needs to populate it, that is still owned by business.
Okay, okay. Or would they just tell us that okay, this is the workbook where we have changed this. Now you export and import.
Correct. That's what will happen via our article which we updated, Gopal, and that's where they will give us the seat, okay, if
Oh,
that
there's
has.
an article. There's an article, Arvind.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah, means I was working an article, I think it's handed over Lakshmi, that article is updated, right? With they will provide all the workbook, Gopal, and they will create a request to deployment and everything detail, and then
Mm,
our MSP get involved. There is no like
mm,
they will come
mm,
and post somewhere, go ahead and do this. No, it will be a formal process with the article.
mm,
As part of that article, they'll be submitting such a workbook also.
Correct. They will be submitting everything. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'll share the article in the group, Gopal, so that you are aware how the concept article will use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'll just quickly reiterate the point with regards to this. So just in case a business users wants to add some additional information to be shown in the documents or agreement or something of that sort, so they will add that field in the workflow, and then they'll share this particular document with us with the details of the new field created and also the object and field from which org62 it has to be stamped on the agreement record. So this detail we need to actually make the relevant changes to the workflow to ensure this mapping is intact. Is my understanding correct?
Yeah,
Yes. Means,
you know,
but still field we will create, right?
yeah, org62 integration, right? They will not. Uh, I mean, any changes related to where there is an integration involved with org62, right? Like some
Mhm.
field in org62 should be mapped to the workflow launch form, right? Such changes we will only do it. They would only do changes in the template. Let's say if they want to change some. Arvind, can you go to that screen once? Yeah, the first this part right
Ah,
here. If they want to do any changes, they'll do it here. And sometimes they add some scope language library, right? For that, they might create a field in the launch form, but then that doesn't has to be linked integrated with the Ox. I mean, there'll be no linking to the Ox62. It would be that SLL library will be within Ironclad, and that same they'll map it onto the launch form.
yep. That's correct. For
Yeah, so the
SSL, they will
changes,
create the field.
so their changes would be only Ironclad specific. That is related to template and any SSL field that they want to add on the launch form. That's it.
Okay.
So, and one more point, Arvind. So, how the access will be? I see there are different groups in ironclad, right? If new field is created in Office 2 side, so that field should be visible in ironclad in the template which you currently are seeing, right? So, how the
Mhm.
access will be? Do we need to add that um, uh, field to any other groups to visible that users? How the
Okay,
access
so
will
there are
be?
so two part, I think. Are you asking about the field which you have on org62 and you want it to show on template, or field which is
Mm-hmm.
created within the Iron Cloud?
Both, both.
Okay, so org62 side, we handle it. Iron
Mm-hmm.
Cloud side, we will create it, but there is no need for giving any specific user access. As long as that field is present in template and whoever has access to this template, okay,
Mm-hmm.
then they will get. And that access label is derived by the groups actually. Okay, so if
Mm-hmm.
you look at this integration piece, I can just quickly, 1 minute, I can show you the user and groups. If you go to groups, okay,
Mm-hmm.
if I click any groups and if I go to edit group, it will show me currently this group does not have access to any template. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
see this. So now if I start giving these access, now I got the access for this group. Okay, and this is
Mm-hmm.
something I plan to cover tomorrow, Lakshmi. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I
Okay.
will show all these details tomorrow. Okay, with amend process, because
Sure.
that's where
Arvind.
we have. Okay, so I will
Arvind,
go more.
yeah. Sorry, one
Yeah,
question.
go ahead. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
like you remember earlier when we were discussing this code development model, right? Uh, you had mentioned one point, right, where the MSPs, right, would also look. I mean, let's say we have restricted user, right, that they would only change the template section, correct? But
Hmm.
let's say they also do the change in the approvals, right? So So has this process been established with MSP, right? That they should be doing some due diligence to understand what changes has been done by the business, and if they are apart from that template, right? If they do any change, they should reject that. So has that been our MSPs?
Yes.
Okay.
So
So
MSP,
uh,
I'm not sure MSP is aware. Gopal, we
mhm.
can. tell them. But if you look at this one, I had added this point after talking to Chelsea. Okay. Once they export, everything has a section. Even document itself has their own section. And then others like that launch workflow and everything has their what its second section. I think create, right? It was, yeah, create, review and all. They have their own section. Okay. Sorry. Where it is gone, man. Yeah, this one. So you can look at this. They only update this section and we can easily find it out. So I have put in here, okay, our agreement details, okay, that what and how we are going to do it. Okay. So they need to verify this section that they update only there, accept the SSL, okay, and do not move forward if they found some other changes.
Verify
And
change should only, sorry, I was reading that.
yeah,
Verify changes should only be in document section. Yes. Move on. Okay. No. Okay. Okay. Fine.
yeah. And here is that default templates, guys, okay, which they're supposed to follow. Okay, they will create a new version of this one, okay, and provide us all the details for deployment. So I think we have 15 more minutes. I think Suhas, if you wanted to just go ahead at this, and then we can cover maybe tomorrow also, okay. But let's start with maybe the mule part.
I mean, I won't need more than 15 minutes to actually explain that. That should be good. Yeah, hi guys. Before we go into the Mule application, I just want to actually set up a context on this. So this Mule application is responsible for fetching all the attachments which are basically completed or signed documents on a contract, and we are moving them over to the ironclad workflow records, like on the ironclad workflow in ironclad system. And as soon as the signed copies are uploaded to the ironclad workflow, the ironclad basically then archives the workflow, and it just again updates all the records in Salesforce after that. So to actually go forward with, first of all, I know I am pretty sure like if you know about this, but like this is a CPS. This is a kind of our vault where we keep all our secrets and IDs, keys over here. So as part of this, like this Mule implementation, so okay, before going over there as well, we have created two Mule applications. One is a job, a scheduler basically, which would just go into the system and fetch all the eligible records for us to go and would basically fetch all the eligible attachments from the Salesforce. And there is one more. I can't actually open it right now, but like there is a SAPI which we created, which the scheduler calls in term, which has the responsibility of actually with to actually make a call out to the ironclad system. So I'll go over both of these Mule applications one by one. But before again going there, I just wanted to actually to make sure that like you understand the CPS keys that we have used as part of this. Uh, since like this is a scheduler and like we're using a Salesforce connector, so we have actually gone the route of username password with the client ID and secret from the connected app. So this is important. Then this, so like these are the keys and important configurations for the ironclad SAPI, the one that I was talking about, which makes the call out to the ironclad system. And then there are certain like few more configuration which we thought like should not be hard coded into the system, and we can actually control these by uh, like having variables or attributes in the CPS JSON itself. So like how many records are we supposed, like how many workflow records are we supposed to fetch is 100. The like what is the frequency of the scheduler should be. So it's right now it's 18 at a seconds. That means like it's 30 minutes. And then the token URL, like I mean, this is still not needed, but this is important for like for a first, like for this job NGC signed upload secure CPS key. And by the way, like, so there are two types of keys right now over here. So like one is a secure key and like one is a non-secure key. Uh, so basically like over here, like we just tell like this is the entryway to the CPS where we actually take like we basically go to the secure key using this non-secure key. So like basically all the arguments using which you would be calling CPS is basically with a non-secure key. And in return it would be and it in return it would tell you like what is the secure key that you should be going towards and fetching the arguments from. So enough about this. uh, I'll go over this like real quick. So this is a template that so like when we actually create our Mule application, this is the template that the MuleSoft team provides us with, which has a lot of inbuilt loggers, and like they have their own loggers, and like there's certain other uh, palette related things that our AI team or our MuleSoft team has created for us. So that's the reason like they actually try and ask us to go via this route. So this Salesforce Query API is the application that we have created where we have a scheduler created over here. And if you see like this, I'm not sure like if you're able to see this or not, but this is like scheduler.frequency, and we are telling that like this is coming from the CPS. And moreover, an important thing is that the way we tell while running this application that like you need to go and look at the CPS is basically like when you actually configure run configuration in the arguments, we over here like we here like give like what is the URL that it should be hitting to, what is the prefix for the like which environment we are trying to get this credentials for, and then we provide with all like do you see over here like job ngc signed upload v1. So like this is the non-secure key we told them, and this is the CPS client ID and client secret. So this is something that we need to configure, and once the system starts, it actually fetches all the CPS credentials and configuration, and this is how we actually use it. So the scheduler, we are actually asking it to run for like 30 minutes right now, and the delay start is 15 seconds for now. So like as soon as the application starts at any point or it gets deployed like locally on your machine, it takes about 15 seconds to actually start fetching or like make the first call out to the Salesforce. Now, this is the Salesforce, like this is the first query or connector query that we have in place, which basically goes and looks at all the workflow. I hope I can make it big. Hmm. So if you see, like we are just like in the Salesforce connector over here, we are querying all the ironclad workflow records, which are either in like either in one of the signed statuses, and the contract to which this ironclad workflow record is associated to should be completed. That means like the the signature should be completed on the DocuSign envelope. And again, over here, we are again taking this query.workflow.limit from the CPS. So if we make any change on the CPS, we have to like that's it. Like after that, it will just like right now it's 100. Tomorrow we can, based on the like how much load we are looking at, like we can change like what is the query limit over here. So after that, like what we do is basically again see like if we have fetched any results, if we have fetched, where did it go? Like if we have any workflows that actually is in the where clause, then we would just like go ahead and like start processing the records, or else we are using the CI logger to log the result, like to log that currently this job does not have any workflow records in the signed statuses, or the contract document status is not complete. So like we're just like basically logging the information over here, which in turn would basically after some time would be streamed into the Splunk for us to look at what was happening with that application. The important thing over here is like, so once we get all the eligible workflow records, we basically just go and uh, then query the attachment records based on the contract IDs, where the name as a underscore completed, which basically tells us that it's that PDF which we want to send across. And once we have fetched the PDF, like is again the same subflow, like same routine where we check like if we have any attachment records, and if we have them, we start processing them again. But this is the important part, which like where we actually create create a payload for sending across to the like to the SAPI. So if you see over here, so like what we are sending across is, so basically like over here we are just like we are going looping over the result that we have got. And since we queried workflow records and the attachment records, and like for making the payload we wanted to have the workflow IDs and uh, the body. So like over here, like we are mapping the workflow records to the attachments that we got. So once this is done, like we are actually again creating a list of these JSON files, this JSON objects, and then we are looping over that list one by one. Uh, like we're just like looping over it one by one, and like I'm again like over here, I'm just making a request to the SAPI, like to the SAPI over here. Uh, just a moment. Yes. So like
So we are
once it
sending
goes,
file to space, Suhas, or we are just giving the.
okay, files as we like, so like we have, let me show you this. So, so like we had to actually convert it. So like, do you see over here? Like I had to actually convert it to base 64.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So in SAPI, he would just basically decode the base 64 to get that to get the PDF back. So yeah, like I'll just basically after that like make a call out to the SAPI, transform the message, and like set a variable for us to log. And if in case there is an error in like in the loop, we have an on error continue. That means like whenever an error occurs, it would still go ahead and like process the rest of the elements in the list, and it would just basically log it over here, like in this EI logger, that like there was an exception or error that occurred with a description for like on it and at what time. And then we would just like move, and then after that like so so like if you see this try and on error handling, right? So it could be a success message or it could be an error message. So that's the reason like we're using these two transforms. So because what we want to do is basically like later go ahead and like then stamp the workflow in Salesforce saying if it was a successful upload or whether it had some issue on it. So what it does is, so like as soon as like I set the variable, I just like call the next route. Just a moment. Like I just like call the next subflow, which is basically like update the workflow, which takes or like which again takes the list coming from this like this process over here. So like this set variables is basically nothing but like I'm actually like getting all the responses coming from ironclad or the errors inside one list, and then I'm passing the same list, and then this update over here, disconnected over here has the basically it's like updates all the Salesforce workflow records for this
Yeah, each operation. Yeah,
like for each operation, like this DocuSign sync error,
field is updated.
like that field is updated with the error, and if it is there was no error, like we just stamp success over it so that we know that this just went through. So this was the scheduler. Like let
So
me.
suppose if something fails, right? So
Mhm.
will it be picked up again in the next schedule
Yeah,
run?
yes, it would be since say suppose all of a sudden the ironclad actually stopped responding us, and that's the reason like all of our records were getting failed. And say suppose like we figured that out, since like it's a scheduler, and just a moment, huh? I opened the same. So like this is where we are like, so like as I said in the like said earlier, right, like when I started, As soon as we upload the signed document onto the ironclad, right? The ironclad archives the record, and then this archival is basically stamped on the workflow record in Salesforce. So the scheduler actually just looks at one of the signed statuses. As soon as it goes to archival, it stops the ironclad stops looking at it. So we are just like over here, we are just like we are dependent on the process that ironclad actually updates the records over here. So if it doesn't update the status on the ironclad workflow, that record would be picked again and again. So like that is what our retry mechanism is for this.
Okay. If the record in the ironclad is not archived, this process will kick in again.
Yeah. And the good part about it is like, say suppose we were actually able to upload the record, but ironclad was not able to actually archive the record like in Salesforce, and our scheduler picked it up again because it was looking at the workflow status in one of the signed statuses. It cannot actually again go and upload. Like if it tries to upload it again, it would just basically throw an error that like it already has a signed document on it. But eventually, ironclad has to update the workflow record in Salesforce with the archival status.
Oh. Okay, so you're saying we have called the upload API, right? But ironclad hasn't updated the status on Salesforce yet.
Yeah.
So it might happen that the scheduler picks up again and tries to upload the API again, but then at that time ironclad will fail that.
Yeah, it
Uh,
would just basically reject the request that,
okay.
like it would just reject, and it would just say that like it already has a signed document on it.
Mhm. So then do we update this response also back on
Yes,
the
we do. So like we should be mindful, like whenever we look at that particular field on the workflow record, right, Gopal, we should be mindful of like the error that we are reading over there. Like if the error is that like if the error message or the text message on that field says that tried to upload something and it did not go through, then it means like this particular workflow already has a signed document over there. If it's a success. But like apart from these two, if you see any other issue or like text over there, then it could be a bit alarming for us.
Okay.
So yeah. So like as soon as I said, like I would basically, so like I was looping over a JSON object on the like on my scheduler, right? Like on the scheduler that we wrote. So the reason we were looping is like we are sending like one payload at a time to this SAPI, which basically like so like basically like it listens to it, and
Yes,
then
sorry to interrupt you. I need to jump to another meeting. Yeah.
okay, cool. What? I think like I'll just like cover this part and probably like if others have time.
Yeah, sure.
Meeting.
Sorry. Like should I continue or do you want to do
Uh,
this?
Suhas, can we continue tomorrow? Tomorrow we have one more session. Can we continue there? This
Uh,
guys need to jump the other calls.
Actually, like I'll just take 2 minutes. Is that okay?
Sure.
Because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's almost done.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, since like most of the heavy lifting was done by the scheduler, the only job of the SAP is to actually take that payload which we are giving back and send it across to the ironclad. So like over here, if you see right, this payload. So like this is the request that it is making to the like I don't know like if you're able to see this. It is HTTPS demo.ironclad. So it is just making this call out to this particular URL with the information on it. It's basically a post of that request. And one more thing that something that you would need to actually uh, so all of this has to be done in the multi-part API call out. So like so the request that we make, it should be a file multi-part call. So if you see right over here, like we are actually calling parts, and then like we are actually adding this attribute to like this content attribute with the base 64 again. That is coming from the set. We are converting this base 64 into binary again, and that's what we are actually sending across to this request over here. So, and whatever the result comes back from the ironclad, it just basically gives us back that, like it just like tells us that like so like this is the response that has come back. If you see over here, look at this. So like he just gives me whatever the message was coming. So like whatever the issue was. So like he just like, since this is a success stream, he is like returning me back that like this is what has happened. So like this is successful. And if this actually errors out anywhere, like or like if the ironclad sends out an error response back, then basically like we would just come over here on the logger. If you see like he's just like sending me back the like the message that was coming from the ironclad, and that is it. So I just now take these responses and and then we update the ironclad workflow in Salesforce. So yeah, this is it. Like this is what we have implemented as part of this Mule application. So if in case like you have any questions around this, right, you can directly reach out to me. I can go over this again as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Suhas. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Thanks.